Tyrese Haliburton and Anthony Edwards have both emerged as potential MVP candidates. And yes, like I said on an earlier episode, it might not have been Beyond the Box Score, it might have been one of our older videos. I don't like to get into this MVP debate too early. I like to get into it around like, you know, the 30, 40 game mark, because we get a better idea of where these teams are sitting, how this player is playing. Because at the end of the day, an 11 game sample size, yeah, there's still sufficient amount of basketball being played, but it's still at that point where it's like it can be just a stretch of games where they play well and then they drop off.
Jeremy Lin.
Exactly. Excuse me. But yeah, like Tyrese Haliburton and Anthony Edwards, these guys have clearly, you know, reached that level of play, and, you know, they're arguably the most valuable players in the league, and especially for their teams.
Especially young guys, like
100%. And, you know, I've got the Tyrese Haliburton jersey on, so representing. But I've been on Tyrese Haliburton from the moment he was at Iowa State, like pre-draft, like 6 months out. I showed you that post that I put in an NBA fans group saying
this guy was flaming people in the Reddit comments. Yeah. I don't know if it was Reddit, but like some dude was hating on Tyrese, and Danko was just going grilling this guy.
But that's the thing. Like for me, I saw it early. I watched a lot of Kings basketball when he got drafted to the Kings, and then when he went to the Pacers, I was actually glad that he ended up on the Indiana Pacers and, you know, got his own team. And, you know, for what that team has, obviously they got a really good bench, really great depth, but they don't really have a genuine second superstar or second star kind of player. Obviously Miles Turner does show that potential, but we just saw how much of an effect he does have on that group, and pretty much he is the system, like you like to say. The fact is, you know, when he was out of that lineup for the Boston Celtics game, they dropped that game by like 50 points. They lost. They let in about 150 points on the defensive side. You know, Boston put 150 on him, and then Tyrese comes in the next game, and, you know, they start going on this winning streak again, and arguably probably could have won every game at home. They dropped that game against the Hornets, which they probably should have won if it wasn't for that moment. Tyrese actually explained it on the Old Man in the Three. I was watching that episode, the mailbag, and he was saying like he was unsure of what Brandon Miller was doing, because he was expecting to come to double, but he just kept like jumping like from side to side, and it sort of threw him off, and then he just lost his dribble. So like he owned that moment as well, and I think the fact that he owned that mess up obviously shows how mature he is. But in terms of his production, he's nearly top 15 in scoring, averaging like 25 a game, nearly leading the league in assists. He's had a double-double in practically every game he's played in, and the team just looks better. The team looks more fluid. They're the number one offense in the NBA. I think they're 1 or 2 in offensive rating as well. Obviously, the defense leaves a lot to be desired, but for what he's done on the court, and now mainstream media is finally giving him his recognition, which I sort of get frustrated about, because he's been doing this for the last few years. You know, he's had games where he's dropped 38 when he was on the Kings against the 76ers, and then he had his moments last year, obviously getting into the All-Star game. But Wally Szczerbiak, you know, called him out last year, said he's a fake All-Star, wannabe All-Star. Like, bro,
wasn't Wally a one-time All-Star as well?
Yeah, exactly. You know, he's just a hater. But like at the end of the day, without Tyrese on that team, the 76ers, the Pacers, they aren't the same team, and you probably look at that team and they may be like hovering around the lottery again. But then I'll move on to Anthony Edwards. Obviously, he's emerged as a true superstar in this league. The numbers speak for themselves. He plays both sides of the ball. He's a gritty defender. He's a true definition of a two-way player. He's throwing shades of Michael Jordan out there. You know, some execs, some scouts. I know it's a bit of a raw take, but
closest thing I reckon.
Yeah, like, in terms of
honestly
that Kobe and that MJ mentality in him, he's got that dog. You know what I mean? Like his personality shines through. He's always smiling. But when he gets on the court, he just wants to kill everyone. And that whole exchange with Draymond Green, that was hilarious to me. Like Draymond talking shit, and he didn't
bow any of it.
Yeah, 100%. He didn't
like we say, he wants all smoke.
Yeah, he wants all the smoke, all the fucking smoke. But what he's done for that team, and stepped up as the true number one guy, true leader. Obviously, there was question marks over Cat. Was he the actual genuine number one on that team? But Anthony Edwards has well and truly jumped into that, position, and he's taken on that responsibility with both hands. And yeah, there's no secret why both these teams are right up there in their respective conferences, and yeah, they deserve all the credit they get and all the recognition they get. So for me, that's a key takeaway. And I know I spoke a little bit about this, but I love these two guys, especially Tyrese. So it's something that I could talk about for hours, and I could give you all the ins and outs about everything.
Yeah. No, I feel like you mostly like wrapped it up really well. I'll just make a quick point about the Tyrese Haliburton thing, I guess. Like, this might sound crazy to some people, but you could genuinely make the debate right now that Tyrese is the best point guard in the league. Like, I know we talked about this in a previous ranking, the top 10 point guards, and people were kind of confused, like, why is Hallie 4? Well, let's go through it. I mean, Curry, like, maybe he's one. He's having a phenomenal year. Luka also is. He could be one as well. They're both deserving.
1A, 1B.
1A, 1B. But then there's Hallie, you know, someone, you know, he's not 3 or 2.
Yeah.
He's but he's having such a phenomenal year. Like, shades of Chris Paul, historic in terms of like the numbers.
Yeah.
They're historic. Like, they're 25 and 12, and then the limited turnovers. And the main one for me, I guess, the thing about Hallie people would say is like he doesn't take over games. Well, he had that game, he made that mistake. He got LaMelo like pickpocketed him, and they lost.
But he had 25 points and 6 assists in that third quarter alone. That's never happened in NBA history.
Yeah.
One guy to have 25 and 5 or 25 and 6 in one quarter. And then, you know, to add to that as well, the last two
Philly
games.
game?
Took over there as well. The Milwaukee game.
The Knicks game?
Yeah.
4 straight threes?
The Cavs game, sorry.
Yeah, was it the Cavs?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's had so many, like, just moments. Like, I feel like so many iconic moments. I think there was one in the Garden, though, because they were saying flashes of Reggie Miller. I do remember seeing it. I couldn't tell you, like, the exact stats, but it was like 3 straight threes, which was sick to see. And then Anthony Edwards, I mean, freight train, the guy coming at you at full speed. It's, like, the closest thing to me to, like, LeBron almost in that 2012 to 14 period at the Heat. But yeah, and he just like, he's not like LeBron, but in terms of him being a two-way threat and such a great two-way player, such a great defender, getting in passing lanes, blocking shots, like the dominance of LeBron's 2012 to 15 aura, it's certainly there. So yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just elevating this
too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 11 games, but if the Wolves keep winning and Anthony Edwards is the number one guy, he deserves to be, I guess the whole thing, this is MVP candidate, like them to be candidates. So they kind of deserve the credit when credit is due because they are in that, I mean, that ladder, I guess. And if they continue to be 2 successful franchises moving forward and have good records, then why can't we blow it up? If people didn't really fully expect Hallie to emerge like this, I think the credit, it's due. Like, he deserves it because, like you said, fake all-star. I mean, people not thinking he's a top 5 point guard or not being anywhere near the level of a guy like Ja Morant or a guy like who else?
I just saw a comment, by the way, as well, like the other day, and it was like saying, "Oh, he just runs in and then he bails out with a pass."
What does that even mean?
It does, like, everyone's expecting him to drop like this like behind the back pass or this fancy pass, and then that's like, oh, that's more of like a recognized assist, or that's more like a valuable assist. But it's not. Like, the fact that he draws attention to him from the defense, which gets attracted to him when he obviously dribble drives.
That's a skill. Like,
that's what I'm saying. To find the open guy and to recognize what the defense is doing and be able to
help defense, especially like when rotations happen. That's what he does. He does jump passes. Like, he will jump in the air, and then he'll find the guy in the corner. That's what he's been doing since he was probably 11 years old. Yeah. That's his skill. And the fact that he's not turning it over, like we were talking before off camera about that Trae Young thing. Yeah. The difference between them, like, although Trae might have the same box score, Hallie doesn't have the turnovers. Hallie doesn't shoot the ball as bad. And the Pacers win and the Hawks don't win as much. Yeah, so it's like, let's kind of focus on what's good basketball and what's not, and let's value everything that Hallie does really well instead of being like, oh, well, you know, Hallie, he's not.
He's like, an assist merchant.
Or, what does that mean?
Yeah, just stupid sort of takes. But yeah, there's this guy's like, oh, Trae Young puts the same numbers up, and I'm like, I had to respond to the comments. I'm like, dude, Trae Young has terrible efficiency and he's a liability on defense. They're not the same. Like, Hallie's 6'5", Trae Young's 6'1".
And that's no knock on Trae Young.
Yeah,
Trae
Young's a great player, hence why we included him in our top 10 point guard list. At the end of the day, like, we do rate him and we do believe that he's genuinely one of the best point guards in the league. But 50, 40, 95,
Yeah.
leading the league in assists, top 15 in scoring. Like it's second to none. His PER is I think he's like third in PER in the league this year. So
you simply cannot overrate this guy.
100%.
You can't. Like when someone plays basketball the right way, does all the right things, doesn't, he's flashy, but he's not really.
Yeah.
Like he's not step back three. Like he's not like a Harden. He plays the game the right way. He finds the open man. He's great.
Shot's money too.
Transition.
I don't care what people say about it. His shot is money.
When you're gifted like that and you have a skill set, honestly, like a Magic Johnson or like a prime Ben Simmons, like transition game, there's no flaw. Like
there's no secret of why the offense is the number one offense in the NBA. Like he's the engine that drives that offense. So
we could talk about Hallie all
day. I know exactly. But let's get back on track. But obviously, I don't mind the fact that we did address that because I think he does deserve his flowers. He does deserve to be.
Hello, yes, you at home. I think, this is Commissioner of the NBA speaking to you, Adam Silver.
The fact is,
here's a message in courtesy of Benchmob.
There's a few people that actually spent. I'm like, God,
when Benchmob hits 1,000 subscribers,
like some people
still don't know
who this guy is.
I actually don't understand.
So just do all the things listed on the screen.